Welcome to a President's Day edition of Sports Den, everybody. Teams in our area are looking to go from the primaries that are the section tournaments to the general elections that are the state tournaments. I'm Ted LaRue alongside Matt Dean. And, when we talk about making that jump from sections to state, right now, the focus is very clearly on girls hockey. And, of course, one team is directly in the Sports Den spotlight, and that is Centennial Spring Lake Park, looking to make their second consecutive trip to St. Paul in the skate to state.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a casual high school sports fan, like you might be tuning in, right? The big broadcast of the state tournament coming up, that's some of the best stuff. But when you are paying attention to the section playoffs, some of those section championship games that happen at nearby neutral sites, or sometimes not necessarily hockey as much, but in other venues where you got a home court where a team's on their home floor to go to state, the drama of getting to the state tournament can be some of the best stuff that we cover in high school sports. We're going to see some of that drama because, as you mentioned, Centennial Spring Lake Park, it's not as emotional for them. They've been to state before. They're trying to get back. The 1 seed in the Section 5 AA tournament taking on 5th-seeded Roseville. This was on Tuesday night at a neutral site, and it's that time of year where the stars are shining. And Elena Ganetz, the UMD commit, as big of a star as we have in high school hockey right now, her team leading 32nd of the year, made it 1-0 Cougars. Early in the second, Ganetz's initial one-timer creates a scramble out front. Grace Lager, number 15 on the season, it's 2-rip Cougars. And when the Cougar offense gets going, it's kind of like track 6 on the Freewheelin' Bob Dylan album, because a hard rain is going to fall in Roseville. Ganetz with her second of the game on a wraparound backhander, and then Mia Such showing off the depth of the Centennial lineup. The sophomore's 24th of the year on that tip made it 4-0 midway through the second period in Roseville. With about 7 minutes to go before the second intermission, 8th grader Danielle Risty, great hockey name, scored on the power play, her 5th of the year, to make it a 3-goal game. And then Lager said, "Don't think twice, it's all right." A power play goal for the junior to respond, her second of the game. 5-1 the Cougar lead was at the end of 2. Freshman Megan Packard would score with 6 minutes to go at even strength for the Roseville Matamidi Co-op, but a late one would seal it for the Cougars as freshman Avery Wagner sealed the deal with her goal in a 6-2 win. Cougars outshoot Roseville 46-15.
That win punched Centennial Spring Lake Park's ticket to the section final, and for the 6th straight year, CSLP meets Maple Grove in the granddaddy of Section 5 AA in Roseville. Cougars on the power play. Elena Ganetz falls to the ice. Arms still work. Sends it off the boards. Mia Suttonai for the 3rd time is the charm. Annabelle Bucciacone puts the Cougars in front early. Under 2 minutes left in the first now. After the punch-in goal here from Bucciacone, you can't convince me Ella Perot's geometry grade wasn't at the top of the class after scoring at an angle like this. Cougars in front 2-0 after 1 after Perot's 4th goal of the season. Second period, Bucciacone working in the dirty area once again. The redirect goal gives CSLP a 3-0 lead. Bucciacone's second 2-goal game in the last 3. She had 2 in the quarterfinals against OPC. Third period, Crimson not waving the white flag just yet. Harper Wenicky going up top inside the corner, cuts the lead to 2. And Maple Grove hanging around. Maple Grove power play, and the goalie pulled 6-on-4 advantage. Ganetz seals the deal, going coast to coast on the empty net tally. Subbing for the 2nd consecutive season, Centennial Spring Lake Park is headed to the state tournament, and this marks their 4th consecutive win over the Crimson. They are celebrating out at Roseville with a big win.
It's very important. We have so many good lines. We have 3 great full lines, and we even have a 4th line that's willing to go out there and push the pace for us. And same with D. We have 5 great D, can go and do that. It's one of the most important things that makes us as good as we are.
I think we did a great job getting it low, getting shots on net, rattling the goalie, and eventually they just go in.
I mean, it's unreal. It still hasn't hit me yet, but I wouldn't want to do it with anybody else.
After this matchup a couple of days later on Sunday, the Class AA state tournament bracket was revealed. CSLP slides in at the number 2 seed. They will take on the number 7 seed Farmington Tigers Thursday night, 6 p.m. at Grand Casino Arena, Farmington. And there are some other potential rematches aplenty on this bracket, Matt, for the Cougars.
Yeah, they have seen make it 5 of the other 7 teams in the field played and beaten 5 of the other 7 teams in the state tournament field, everybody but Bemidji and Lakeville North. Of course, you've got one of the favorites in the tournament, Holy Family, who the Cougars lost to twice early in the year, but won the last 2 matchups. So it's a battle-tested Centennial Spring Lake Park group. Can't overlook opponent number 1, though, in the Farmington Tigers. They are the South Suburban and Section 1 AA champions. You've got a 22-4-1 Farmington team taking on a 24-3-1 Cougar team. Remember, the Cougars were the 2 seed last year, and they lost to 7th-seeded Rosemount in a 1-goal game in the first round. So you cannot overlook an opponent, and certainly one maybe not as battle-tested, but a Farmington team that have played a really good schedule. They faced Centennial Spring Lake Park earlier this year, and the Cougars won that matchup 4-1 on January the 10th in Circle Pines. The Tigers scored 51 seconds into the game. CSLP would close with 4 unanswered goals, including 2 of them by Josie Kelsenberg. Should be fun. Cougars get the first game of the night session coming up on Thursday. The Class A tournament starts a day earlier. All the AA quarterfinals are on Thursday, so that's a 6 p.m. puck drop. The winner of that one will play the winner of Hill Murray and Andover on Friday in the late game at Grand Casino Arena.
And Matt, we kind of highlighted the depth in the highlight of the section championship, goals from Bucciacone and Perot, but really the one big reason why Centennial has a number 2 next to their name in the state bracket is because of Elena Gannett. She was named a finalist for the Miss Hockey Award, 5 finalists this year, and it's just amazing to see those numbers on the screen right now, considering she was out a couple of weeks for the U18 World Championships in early January.
Yeah, phenomenal season, and to your point, she's one of 20 skaters in the entire state in girls hockey that have 30 or more goals, but she's the only one to get to 30 goals, doing so in fewer than 25 games. She's only played in 23 games for Centennial this year because she was gone for about 2.5 weeks playing for Team USA, the under-18s, and winning a gold medal in Nova Scotia. Her, Lorelei Nelson from Edina, Mia Miller from Northfield, Jasmine Hubda from Roseau, and Maddie Kimbrell at Holy Family. They're the 5 finalists. It'll be announced on Sunday at the Miss Hockey Banquet after the state tournament. She's having a phenomenal year. She could be the 6th ever Cougar in program history to exceed 60 points in a season. Tegan Kuhlenkamp and Grace Lager both did it last year. Gabby Hughes did it 3 times. Annette Linzer 3 times. And then Jess Tyra back in the early 2000s, the only 60-plus point seasons in Centennial Spring Lake Park history. She's a Minnesota Duluth commit, and she's just red hot going into the state tournament. Had 15 goals in her last 11 games, including the damage she did in the section playoffs.
You're listing off those names that have played for the Centennial SLP program as of late. It's a who's who. They've had a ton of success, of course, at the high school level, and then a ton of success at the college level. We'll see if Gannett's can be the first Miss Hockey winner in Centennial High School history. Let's shift over to the boys' side right now. Spring Lake Park Coon Rapids winless in their last 9. Looking to get the good times rolling on Thursday night, hosting Osseo. Under 6 in the opening skating session. Jackson Barsness, he's going to melt some ice with this type of speed. Breakaway goal puts SLPCR up early. Second period, Orioles flying with their own breakaway chance. Cameron Olson on the finish. He slides it between the wickets to tie it up in the middle of the second. A minute later, Ashton Ryerson, he had himself a career night, and it all started with some called the lacrosse goal. I call it the Michigan. Hail to the victors, indeed. The scoop, the score, some fancy stick work to put the blue and white up 2-1. Ryerson, well, he can just do the standard wrist shot as well. SLPCR taking a 2-goal lead. Ryerson, 3 goals leading the way with a hat trick. He wasn't the only multi-goal scorer. Cole Carlson getting in on the fun in the second, finishing in the slot to get Spring Lake Park Coon Rapids a 3-goal lead after 2. Third period, right place, right time. Carlson kicks down the door to give SLPCR a 5-1 lead, scoring his first 2 goals of the season on senior night. 8-1 win for SLPCR. Not only did they get 1 win, how about 2 in a row, topping Northern Edge 9-1 on Saturday. They were feeling the love on Valentine's Day night. 8 different skaters scoring. Ashton Ryerson and Trevor Pond both tallying 3 assists in the convincing win. Centennial kept it going in the right direction with a couple of wins over Mounds View, Totino Grace this past week. Joey Hemmer, he keeps on rolling. Had himself a 6-point week, 2 goals, 2 assists on Tuesday, and a goal and an assist on Thursday. The Cougars ended the regular season winning 7 of their last 8 games. They are red hot right now. Just 1 game for the Bengals this week on Saturday, tying Gentry Academy 2-2. Brody Lockman and Porter Bayer netted goals for the Bengals. I mentioned that this was the final week of the regular season, which of course leads us into playoff time, section playoff time. All 3 of our teams occupy Section 5AA. This bracket was released on Sunday. Wednesday night's quarterfinals will be held at the high seeds home rinks, and then the semifinals and championship will be held at Furniture and Things Arena out there in Elk River. Blaine draws the number 2 seed. They will battle 7 seed Spring Lake Park Coon Rapids in the first round at Fogarty Arena. Battle of 2 teams that occupy that rink. The Bengals finished 14-7-4 in the year, finished the season strong, losing just 1 time in their last 9, including 3 straight wins prior to Saturday's tie against the Stars. These 2 teams met back on January 31st with the Bengals winning 6-2. Centennial draws the number 3 seed. They will host number 6 seed Champlain Park on Wednesday. North Metro TV will be there. Also streamed live on NSPN.TV. The Cougars topped the Rebels 9-2 on Saturday, January 10th. And the Rebels have dropped 6 of 9 coming into this tournament.
This is all, I think, going to be a very competitive section tournament. I think all 2 of the 4 first-round games outside of the 1 and the 2 seed, I think, are going to be tight games. And remember, Blaine skated to a 3-3 tie with Maple Grove earlier this season, so there was nothing to separate the top 2 seeds if that is indeed our section final here coming up in a week at beautiful Furniture and Things Arena. That's a great spot to watch some playoff hockey.
It's the best. It's the best. A beautiful rink out there in Elk River. So we talk about some of these teams finishing up boys hockey, finishing up their season. It is the stretch run right now, Matt. Right now for boys basketball. We've been talking about Blaine all year long. They got out to that strong start, maybe kind of falling a little bit as of late, but this week was kind of a big week to kind of start getting that momentum back as playoffs are right around the corner.
You don't want to peak in early January, so maybe a blessing in disguise. You have your little mid-January swoon. Now the Bengals are trying to get back on track here and gear up for section playoffs. They had a big game coming up. It was a good one on Tuesday night. Blaine taking on Elk River in the Bengal Den. Blaine had gone 2-4 in their previous 6 since that 14-0 start. Junior David Valsidia connects off the left wing for a triple. Elks led 13-9. And then note to NWSC opponents, you should probably cover that guy. That's sophomore Henry Siemens, Bengals within 1. Junior Tula Gimta tried to hit from downtown, but good coaching. Always follow your shot, kids. He picks up his own rebound. Bengals led 18-15. Look at this hustle from Gimta. The Elks end up coming out of the scrap with an easy bucket for Henry Rosenthal. Owen Clark would cut to the basket, throw on the brakes, and butter from the senior. It was still a 1-point game. How about Clark with the Taylor Rogers sidearm bullet? He found freshman Aiden Lavick, who had 8 in this one, and the Bengals got their steady 20-plus from Shiloh Aite. Denied at the rim initially, but no problem. The student section were holding up the 3 fingers. Blaine led 37-26 at the half. Nick Rebrovich connected on a triple to cut it to single digits, and then Rosenthal off the offhand switch and off the glass made it a 7-point game with 8 to play. Aite, though, started to go into closer mode for Blaine down the stretch. Rebrovich would hit a 3 that made it 52-53 Blaine with 2 minutes to go. Aite would keep getting his here at the rim, finishing with a game-high 29 in this one. Levi Harris with a 3 to tie it, yes, and Blaine would take the lead yet again on free throws. Harris with a chance to tie it again. It goes at the horn, and we're headed to overtime in Blaine. Clark would go hard to the rim here on this play for the Bengals. He finished with 9. Blaine holds off the Elks in the extra stanza for a 79-76 win.
They had tough rebounders. They had 11 and 34. They're all over. They're physical and all that. We knew we just had to keep cutting, keep boxing them out, and just play physical and just grab every rebound and just sell out we do all the time at practice. We just need to translate it into the game. I think we really did that in the second half. We came out strong, like around a 12-point lead, and I think we just came out a little bit flat, but then we picked it up by rebounding and all that, and just diving on loose balls and all that.
Aite finishes with 29 points to go along with the 17 from Tula Ginta, the senior who you heard from there. The Bengals 9 of 26 from 3 in the win over Elk River as it goes to overtime. Well, they weren't able to recapture that magic when they played again last Thursday. They lose 102-74 to the Andover Huskies, the most points given up in a very uncharacteristic Bengal performance. They'd only allowed 52 to the Huskies, a section foe in the first matchup, and they'd allowed only 2 teams to reach the 80s previously before that loss to Andover that they followed up with on Thursday. The Bengals sit at 17-5 on the season entering the week. Centennial, they were coming off of 2 wins in their previous 3 entering last week, but they would drop all 3 played last week. Monday, a matchup with number 1 ranked Class 3A Power Totino Grace. The Cougars followed that up with a 1-possession loss Tuesday to Coon Rapids, and then Thursday at Armstrong. Centennial unable to find themselves in the winning column despite a 33-point game from senior Tristan Hansen, continuing to put together a phenomenal 12th grade season for head coach Spencer Waldvogel. The Cougars are now 4-18 on the year. Spring Lake Park, they were winless in their 3 games last week. That drops them to 12-10. The Totino Grace Eagles picked up their 2nd win over North Metro School last week with the win on Tuesday over the Panthers. They followed that up with a section loss to Osseo in a 1-possession game on Thursday. Went on the road at Roseville and lost in the section to close the week. Here's what's coming up for our area schools. Blaine, who are now 3-5 since the 14-0 start to the season. It's a big week for the Bengals as they try to win for the 2nd time against Anoka. That's head coach Bernie Ward's alma mater, coming up on Tuesday as the Bengals host the Tornadoes. Then they go on the road, a big test at number 1 ranked Totino Grace, the Eagles, the top team in Class 3A boys basketball this year. Centennial have a section tilt coming up with Duluth East on Tuesday, and then a cat clash, which has been moved up to Wednesday because of the CSLP girls hockey game going on at Grand Casino Arena. The Cougars and the Panthers will play Wednesday night coming up. They will look to pick it up. The Panthers will a win against Coon Rapids leading up to that on Tuesday night in the first of back-to-backs before they play the Cougars. 2 weeks left to go in the boys basketball regular season. Here's how it shakes out in the section. Spring Lake Park in 5-4A with only 1 remaining section game. That'll be against top-seeded Maple Grove to end the year. Barring what would be a stunning upset of the number 4 ranked Crimson to end the season, Spring Lake Park at this point fairly well locked in as the 6th seed in the section based on their head-to-head results. In 7-4A, Blaine, they have their top seed intact despite a loss to the Andover Huskies in the past week. They beat Andover earlier this season. They'll try to finish 8-1 with their final section game coming up this week against Anoka. Centennial with some head-to-head wins to speak of against Cambridge, Isani, and Forest Lake. They've got a key one coming up Tuesday against the Greyhounds of Duluth East, a chance to move up a spot or 2 for Centennial in terms of their seeding.
Certainly seems like in 5-4A, it's Maple Grove or the field right now. And as you kind of pivot, Matt, as you were talking about, and that's what we've been talking about really dating back even a few years, over the last few years, and certainly over the last few months. Section 7 is just, it's one of the most competitive sections. Section 7 4A for boys basketball. You look at what Centennial did a year ago, kind of coming from those lower seeds and kind of jumping their way and making it all the way to the section championship game. Centennial, even though they've lost 18 out of their 22 games this season, they've had kind of a lot of closer games over the course of the year. So, we said this last week. Right now, as this stands, Andover would be the opponent going on the road, so that is far from a guarantee, I think, for the Huskies. So we've seen kind of a lot of back and forth and shifting. It's going to be fun to see how it all shakes out.
I was saying this earlier, Centennial's record, I bet if we look back last year, it was about that this time of year, and they ended up playing in the section final, to your point. It could happen.
It's gonna be really fun. There is going to be entertainment, right? If you're looking for pure entertainment, March Madness, you're gonna want to punch your ticket certainly to Section 7 4A. On the girls' hardwood, Centennial has been one of the hottest teams down the stretch, looking to stay that way, traveling to Coon Rapids on Tuesday night. Cougars up a deuce early. Kyla Carter stepping behind the arc to put the Cardinals on top. Centennial now ahead by 1. Addie Sears drains her only bucket of the night, but it does build the Cougar lead. Now a 6-point advantage. Kaylin Green splashing from the other wing. She had 12. Cougars up by 9. Amelia Del Medico showing the range. One of 3 double-digit Cougar scores and a double-digit lead for Centennial. Cougars are rolling up 15 under 90 seconds to play in the half. Another 3 here from Carter, almost the same spot as before. Cardinals fighting back. Second half, Cougars up 20 with a surge out of the half. Hoop in the harm for Green. She ended with 12. Rochelle Cooper led the way for Coon Rapids with 22, attacking the basket with the and 1 right here. Under 10 to go. Familiar names making their presence. Dealt Green from outside. And then it's Cooper matching it from the left wing the next time down. But this night belonged to the Cougars. Sydney Schmitz led the red and white with 18, knocking down the elbow J. Cougars roll 64-45. And Centennial kept it rolling on Thursday, surrendering just 24 points to Robbinsdale Armstrong whilst putting up 59 for the 35-point victory. The Cougars have now won 8 of their last 10, dating back to January 15th. So it's not just Cougar hockey, but Cougar girls basketball finishing the season strong in the second half of the year. Before then, in the first half of the year, Centennial just won 5 of their first 15 games. If there's one thing that we can expect at the end of the year, it's Jamie Sobolik's squad to be playing really good basketball. When it's a couple of weeks away from getting to North Branch, it seems like that's when Centennial really starts to kick it into gear. Blaine, a tight pair of contests this week, topping Elk River by 2 on Tuesday, 7-point loss to Andover on Thursday. The loss to the Huskies broke a 4-game win streak for the Baby Blues. Spring Lake Park finds themselves at an even 12-12 record following a Tuesday night loss to Totino Grace and a close 46-43 win at Osseo on Thursday night. Jalen Bursey Dixon and a Smolich reached double figures in the win over the Orioles. The Panthers will finish the season with a pair of games at the friendly confines as we look ahead. What's coming up on the slate? Coon Rapids comes to SLP on Tuesday. Cat Clash, as we mentioned before, closes out the season on Wednesday against Centennial, and that is the Cougars' only remaining game on the schedule. Blaine is headed on the road out to Anoka on Tuesday night with a return trip to the Bengal Gym on Thursday, wrapping up the season with the Eagles of Totino Grace. With just 1 week remaining, the final jockeying for section seeding is taking place. And we start first in Section 7 4A. Right now, Blaine seems to be the number 2 team in the section. Centennial seems to be the number 3 team in the section. We talk about how Centennial has really been hot as of late, but a couple of things to keep in mind. Centennial has won both of their matchups against Blaine this season. Just 1 section loss, although Blaine has more section victories up there at 6. So that's going to be a really interesting conversation in the seeding meeting. When it comes down to it, both teams are going to get a home game in that first round. They're going to go to North Branch for the semifinal. So you might break even maybe when all is said and done, but still, that's something that will certainly be talked about down the road right there. Over in Section 5, Spring Lake Park is down to the 6th seed as we stand right now before the seeding meeting, but 3 through 6, awfully competitive. SLP, they got wins over Park Center and Rogers. You see, those are the teams that kind of occupy the spots above them. They have losses to Moundsview and Champlain Park by double digits. That's seeds 2 and 3. A Panther win over Centennial could create create something really interesting. You see SLP just 1 spot below in the QRF to Park Center. 5 section wins. Park Center is 0-3, and we kind of mentioned the head-to-head victory over the Royals and the Pirates so far this season.
Well, you talk about section brackets. We're going to have more brackets coming up in basketball next week. We've got section playoff action on the mat that will take you to Centennial Friday in action at Stillwater in the team section meet. The Cougars taking on the Roseville Raiders in the quarterfinal round, and 8th grader Clayton Wick would pick up a first period pin to get the Cougars out on the right foot. In the 121s, 8th grader Jack Korjelko stormed out to an early lead with a flurry of takedowns. The result the same, a first period pin. In the 145s, junior Ben Johnson racked up a 17-zip tech fall victory. It was the Cougars in each of the first 3 weight classes in this one. Jack Rugsager would find another pin for the black and red. This one came in the 152-pound weight class. He was followed up by senior Andrew Person, who took down Nathan Friedrichs for a third period tech fall. Cougars won by a pin, a tech fall, or a forfeit, and took 11 of the 13 weight classes in a dominant win over the Raiders. A tech fall by Carter Stuckey in the 189s, and a pin by Braden Besh in the heavyweight punctuated the 63-8 win that punched their ticket to the semifinals to face the 2-seed Mounds View Mustangs, ranked number 6 in the state. In the 107s, Cougar middle schooler Clay Wick ripped down freshman Christian Edwards. It was a go-ahead takedown, and he would win by a 5-4 decision. Evan Besh picked up a victory by fall. Jack Korjelko a pin in the 121s. 3 8th graders lifted Centennial to a 15-zip lead. In the 133s, Logan Fu exchanged takedowns in what ended as a 22-9 major decision. Jack Rugsager picked up the win to give the Cats some cushion, but it came down to the heavyweight bout. Cougars by 1. Braden Besh leaves no doubt. He gets a pin a minute in. They beat number 6 Mounds View in an upset, and Centennial on to take on number 2 ranked Stillwater, one of the best programs in the state. The Ponies won the first 2 bouts before Korjelko claimed a 19-4 tech fall win in the 121s. That cut the lead for Stillwater down to 9-5. They would take the next 6 head-to-head matchups. The Ponies, senior Andrew Person needed a victory by fall in the 172s to keep the Cougar hopes alive. He would pick up an 11-2 major decision over Eli Nye. You see it there. It's not enough. That would clinch the match. Heavyweight Braden Besh finished off a 3-0 day as the Centennial anchor, but Stillwater moves on to the state tournament.
Stillwater is one of those programs in the state. It's just that there always seem to be in that type of discussion. But for being able to get to that point, congratulations to Centennial Wrestling. Really looking forward to next week. We've got girls basketball brackets. Boys hockey playoffs is in full swing. We've got the potential to have a Blaine Centennial semifinal to kind of punch their ticket in Section 5 AA right there. On the boys hockey side, it is a beautiful time of year, I'll tell you that much.
And hopefully we're planning for a Centennial Spring Lake Park girls hockey wrap-up show.
Absolutely.
As well.
Yes.
We'll be getting that in the works next week. So really excited for that. Yeah, great season already for Centennial Spring Lake Park, but we'll be cheering on the girls hockey team as well coming up at Grand Casino Arena this week. Thanks to Mike Peterson and our entire crew here in Blaine. That's Ted LaRue. I'm Matt Dean as we sign out here on another edition of Sports Den. And you don't have to wait long. We'll be back next week to break it all down right back here in Blaine.